openness is strong. Jim Whitehurst, Chief Executive Officer, CEO of leading software company Red Hat, professes a meritocracy of ideas, where strategies can come from any level and at any part of the organization. In Whitehurst's 21st century Red Hat, strategizing has apparently become a series of concentric circles like ripples on a lake that eventually touched everyone. But instead of ripples that moved only outward, they continued back and forth as they carried information and ideas throughout the company. The general trajectory from the secretiveness of Fred Bork half a century ago to the openness of Jim Whitehurst today is the core theme of this book. Over time, the practices of strategy are becoming increasingly open, inclusive in terms of participants, transparent with regard to stakeholders. More people are involved in strategy making and more is revealed. Strategy jams over social media, strategy blocking, strategy wikis, strategy town halls, and external strategy presentations are now ordinary parts of organizational life. This opening of strategy is a remarkable change for theory as well as practice. After all, for the founding theorist of the strategy discipline, Alfred Chandler, objectivity and control could only be achieved by reserving strategy for a top management elite, clearly detached from the self-interested managers in the business. For Chandler, giving middle managers a voice in strategy only encourages the pursuit of myopic agendas. According to the theoretical orthodoxy of the resource-based view, protecting unique resources from imitation is basic to competitive advantage. Openness just gives rivals the chance to steal a competitive march. In this view, opacity trumps transparency. One way or another, it is far from obvious why strategy should become more and more widely shared. My aim, then, is to tell the story of how more open strategy practices have been created over time, and to honour the work of the innovative professionals responsible for them. Step by step, from the primitive strategic planning of the 1960s to the strategic management of the 1980s, and now to more self-conscious experiments in open strategy, strategists have transformed the process of strategy making. The changes are ambivalent, uneven, and reversible, but in the round, strategy is less and less a private affair. Strategy no longer sits in the heads of owners and chief executives, unarticulated and safe from challenge. Managers and employees, shareholders and regulators, consumers and suppliers increasingly have both the means and the expectation to be informed and even consulted about the strategies of large organizations. Given the heft of contemporary corporations, just think Alphabet or Alibaba, this opening of strategy promises an important kind of revolution, little remarked, and not sufficiently sung. To recognize how far strategy making has changed, it helps to take a long-run view. In the midst of things, it is hard to appreciate changes whose very success renders them commonplace. The broad shift to openness is better understood by comparing with the taken-for-granted of decades ago. This book, therefore, takes as its baseline the years around 1960, a period when issues of strategic choice and competition were gaining widespread attention for the first time, introducing a significant number of people to new kinds of formal roles in strategy. 6 decades puts contrasts and continuities in proper perspective. But this long-run view should not obscure the details. The opening of strategy is to some degree the product of large exogenous forces originating from outside the immediate world of strategy. Organizational forces such as the changing nature of business, cultural forces such as the growth of managerial education, and technological forces such as computerization and the spread of the Internet. These kinds of forces will be elaborated on later in the chapter. However, successive practice innovations and the overall trajectory towards greater openness are more than the simple product of exogenous forces. Transforming forces into practice requires creativity and entrepreneurship by individual strategists working in particular.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.